Okay, it's 6 o'clock. I will open this meeting of the Village Board of Trustees work session. Will you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you all very much. We have a couple of mayoral appointments, and I see a lot of people here for that. So, Scott, I'm going to turn to you.
Whereas the Village of Southampton has a vacancy in the position of police officer, and whereas Brian Barton has served the Village of Southampton with distinction as a part-time police officer, and whereas Officer Barton placed on the civil service list eligible list for the position of Southampton Village Police Officer, now therefore be it resolved that Brian Barton is appointed as police officer of the Suffolk County Eligibles List 23-5002-003 dated February 14, 2024, subject to successful completion of a probationary period established for the position of police officer by the County of Suffolk, and therefore be it resolved that Officer Barton shall be compensated at an annual salary of $71,349.41 effective October 2, 2025, IAW, Southampton Village PBA contract.
Okay, I will make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, and we're going to do the second one, then we'll get up. Okay.
Whereas the Village of Southampton has a vacancy in the position of police officer, and whereas Thomas Gross has served the Village of Southampton with distinction as a part-time police officer, and whereas the Officer Gross placed on the civil service eligible list for the position of Southampton Village Police Officer, now therefore be it resolved that Officer Thomas Gross is appointed as police officer of the Suffolk County Eligibles List 23-5002-003 dated February 14, 2024, subject to successful completion of a probationary period established for the position of police officer by the County of Suffolk, and now therefore be it resolved that Officer Gross shall be compensated at an annual salary of $71,349.41 effective October 22, 2025, IAW, Southampton Village PBA contract.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, well, congratulations. So the village clerk will now,
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
the village clerk will give the oath of office.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Brian and then Thomas.
Who's going to come up here and help with the swearing in?
There we go.
We're going to do it here.
Camera shot.
Yes, that's perfect. So you're going to place your right hand on the Bible. No, you're going to put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. I'm so sorry. I'm lefty, so forgive me, everyone. I'm lefty. It's all good. On behalf of the state of New York and the county of Suffolk and the village of Southampton, I state your name.
I, Brian Barton,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that you will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and you will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
as police officer
as police officer
of the Southampton Village Police Department
of the Southampton Village Police Department
according to the best of your ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, sir. I'm just going to sign right here, and then I'll take care of Thomas. Sign. Congratulations.
You can't back out now.
It's all good. And Thomas? Chief, here you go. Here you go. See your left hand, there you go. That's perfect. On behalf of the state of New York, the state of New York, the county of Suffolk, and the village of Southampton, I state your name.
I, Thomas Gross,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support support the Constitution of the United States
to support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of police officer
of police officer
of the Southampton Village Police
of
Department
the Southampton Village Police Department
according to the best of your ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, sir.
You gotta sign the book.
That's right there. Thank you so much, sir. Congratulations. Perfect. They're all set. Thank you,
Should we
Chief.
get any pictures here?
Yeah, can we get a picture back here?
Yeah, and do we want to get any of the other officers in the pictures too?
We need both
And
of you.
Topper, how about
Yeah.
Topper even?
Topper can go.
Weave in, come in front. Yeah.
I don't know, I might block you.
It's all good, it's all good, it's all good, it's all good. Yeah, exactly. Two new officers. Yeah.
Front and center.
Right. It's good?
Yeah.
Kathy, you gotta get one for us too.
Officials.
Usually I give you my phone.
So we can post something.
Sorry, I'm multitasked here today. It's all good. Perfect, thank you.
All right,
very
thank you
much.
all.
Keep us safe.
Thank
Well.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, he was big.
Don't say it.
Like the whole room left. Okay. We will move on with board presentations. And I think the first person I'm going to call up to get to sit up here, Ryan, is Ryan Winter from traffic consulting firm of VHB.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's just wait for the noise to.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, Ryan.
All right, so I have some updates on the Hill Street pilot program that was done last month. We've been looking at the data and analyzing some of the observations we had during that trial, and then also looking at some of the observations that were taken both before and after the trial to see what the impacts were to both Hill Street and the residential areas to the south and the north of Hill Street. So I have some packets of traffic data that I can share. I've emailed them to the mayor and they can be made available for the minutes of this. And these are this is not the full breadth of data that we've received. It's really just to give you an idea of the patterns that we're seeing and the 5 intersections that we looked at. So the first page is an overall map of the study area, and as we discussed previously, we took traffic data collections during the pilot and after at Hill Street and Lee, Hill Street and Captain's Neck. Those two are the ones that had the right turn restrictions. We took counts at Hill Street and Halsey Neck, and then we also took counts on the north side of Hill Street at Moses Lane and Bishops, and also at Moses and Pelham and Ormond. So that's the first sheet, just kind of giving you an outline of what those locations are, and then just really quickly, we can dive into the numbers more. But the first location at Lee, you'll see it's showing not the full count because it's a lot of numbers, but the highlights focusing on the westbound direction on Hill and the northbound on Lee. The first two columns, the first two rows represent week 1 and 2, which is the pilot period time. and week 3 is the post-pilot. So on all these sheets subsequent to this, it's the same format. And we focused again on the ones that we're most interested in for the purposes of this study, which is the westbound traffic and the traffic cutting through the neighborhoods. So you can see here that Hill Street traffic for all 3 weeks remains relatively consistent. There is some variation, but that's to be expected. There's variations in traffic due to accidents or other unforeseen events that occur. It's never going to be exactly the same on a day-to-day basis, but overall, we're showing consistency. And I should mention that the week 1 data was taken the first week of the trial, so when this traffic signal was implemented, at least Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the data was collected, so the signal was in place for all 3 of those days. Week 2, there was no signal in place, and again, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And week 3, again, was done on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, after the study. We picked those 3 days because those are the most consistent and typical, if you will, traffic conditions for the roadways. So the thing to take away from this sheet and the next 3, which are all Hill Street and the side streets, is that the traffic on Hill Street really does not get impacted by the restrictions of the turns at Lee and Captain's. And what that tells us is that we're not really improving the conditions on Hill. And that was one of the things I think we were hoping to get out of this, was to see if we could improve flow on Hill, to get more vehicles off those side streets and onto Hill. Unfortunately, the data is showing that that was not the case. So while the traffic is reduced on Lee in this instance, and on the following page on Captain's Neck, you see the traffic on Hill Street really doesn't change that much from week to week. If you go to the Halsey Neck sheet, it's a similar story. The traffic on Hill Street is slightly less during the trial period, and that is because this is where the major conflict point was during the trial. This is where all the southerly traffic was merging onto Hill Street, either with the traffic signal or without. As you can see, the data is fairly consistent. It was less efficient with the traffic signal, but still not as efficient as the typical condition on Hill Street without any of those restrictions.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, just to reiterate. Week 1 was with the traffic light.
Correct.
Week 2 was without the traffic light. And week 3 was what?
Without the
Was
restrictions.
without the
Any
pilot.
restrictions.
Static.
Without the pilot.
Yeah.
That was post-pilot or pre-pilot?
Post-pilot.
Post-pilot.
So week 1 was the week of 9/9, week 2 was the week of 9/16, and week 3 was a combination of the week of 9, was taken 9/25, 9/30, and 10/1 because there was a Jewish holiday in there. We try to avoid taking
9/25, 9/30, and 10/1.
10/1, correct.
And just to follow on Len's comment, because I know you did some work the week before the pilot started, but you weren't doing traffic counts, you were doing observations
That's
and.
correct.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you very
So
much.
we have that,
Hmm.
those observations are being incorporated into our analysis, but there's no number.
But it's kind of interesting that the traffic did increase in week 3 from week 1.
In all 3 aspects, in each table, yes.
Yep.
Because if I'm reading this correctly, so peak hour total in week 1 on Hill Street at the temporary light was 688. But then in the last week, when there was nothing, it actually jumped to 800.
Yes, but
So,
What he's saying is that there was traffic coming up Halsey Neck during the trial and making a left to add in, because the
Oh, I see,
totals
I
on
see,
Lee
I see.
Avenue were
Yeah.
about the same.
correct. So you have to look at the numbers on the Halsey Neck.
okay, now
northbound
I'm
left.
sort of following. Yeah, I was sort of thinking, I was like, I
So
can't
that-
even know what's happening.
And how do
Now I get it.
How do we get through the idea that more flow is necessarily better? In other words, let's say the situation on Hill, we had so many stop signs and so many lights that everybody said, hell, I'm not going that way, I'm gonna stay on 39. The flow would be very low, but everybody might like that because there's no traffic on Hill Street. Here we are saying the larger amount of flow is better, and I get that you mean that it's not bumper to bumper and not sitting there, it's moving.
Yeah.
But how do we distinguish between those 2 cases, if you get what I'm saying?
Yes, so it's a good question, and no matter how inefficient we make Hill Street, it's inefficient now, and people are still taking it.
Right.
Because at the end of the, there's only three lanes heading west over the canal, and Hill Street has one of those. It turns into Montauk Highway, and the other two are on 39. So we can try to make incremental changes to improve the flow to get you to that point, but beyond that, we're kind of stuck. So if we can't make incremental changes on 39, but we can make them on Hill Street, what you're trying to do is just suck the traffic off the side streets to get on one of those 3 lanes that are heading west.
Right.
And that's the ultimate goal and the thought behind a lot of this.
So it all has to do with south of Hill and north of Hill, right?
Right, and how are we looking to mitigate the impacts on those residential streets that are taking a lot of the brunt of this traffic?
Well, with deference to Trustee Coburn here, who lives on Hill, so the idea is let's keep it on Hill and not get it on the side streets, is kind of what we're saying.
Correct.
Right.
Hill Street is the primary arterial in and out of the village, aside from 39. So that's where ideally, you're designing your cars to use.
Right.
As long as they move.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Because, speaking on behalf of Hill Street, I'll just say until 9-10 years ago, there was never, not once, stop traffic in front of my house. And now it's every night. Even when if everyone says the summer's gone, the contractors are gone, there's stop traffic in front of my house every night for at least 45 minutes on a good day, and for typically 2 to 2.5 hours. That didn't exist 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and we accept that we're an arterial. We're also a village street, and we're also a historic district street and visual gateway, and all the safety issues about people not being able to get out of their driveways exist for people on Hill Street too. It's an issue of getting either emergency vehicles in and out or people getting out of their houses. I don't want to hijack this, but there's an assumption among some people, I've spoken to some people, well, Hill Street was designed for traffic. Not when I moved here. It was designed as a country road to be a visual gateway to the village. But I think we accept the idea that as long as the traffic moves, it can handle a lot of volume. Good visual space, and it makes sense. During County Road 39 before, at least, I think the average speed went up to 9 or 10 or 11 miles an hour. It was 3 minutes out of the village. If that's what's going to happen, and there's no real sustained backups, but we're off topic. Please continue.
And just to put an end to that, I mean, if the higher the number, the better is great. I mean, one of the suggestions made by some residents during the public comment was, well, why don't you make it 2 lanes going out, which would increase it, but the problem is once it gets up to the light at the fire station, it goes back to 1, so you would have even more of a backup at that point, which is
You'd
why.
have everything just bottleneck.
Right,
Well-
which is why that's probably not a great idea.
Right. I mean, the silver lining to that potentially would be that you're creating more area for cars to line up in queue outside of the residential roads that are not Hill Street. Hill Street, but you are going to see more traffic on Hill Street. So
Well, once the pilot becomes permanent,
County Road 39.
County Road 39 pilot, not only will north and south of Hill Street benefit, but Hill Street should benefit as well.
It did the
Yes.
first time.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it should be a win-win-win.
yeah.
Well,
Any idea when that's going to be put into effect
I
again?
believe the restriping will probably start in another month or so, or, do you have any more information on that? November sometime, and then the traffic light sequencing should accompany that, should be attendant to that. So hopefully by Christmas, we're cooking.
okay. Sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
Ray.
a good conversation. And the 39 improvements, just to stay on that topic for a second before I get back to this. Those are going to be incremental improvements on 39. I don't think we should pretend that Hill Street is not going to have traffic anymore, or the residential streets are not going to have traffic when they implement this. Things may get better, but it's not going to make all these similar issues go away. So,
All right, yeah.
okay. The last 2 sheets reference the northern Hills, neighborhood north of Hill Street, and we specifically looked at Bishops and Moses is the first figure 5. Again, we focused on westbound traffic. As you can see, heavy volumes on Moses and Bishops, northbound and westbound respectively, during the pilot. A lot less so post-pilot. This is, potentially contributes to other alternative routes that could be taken to circumvent this intersection. I know a lot of cars use McGee Street to cut up to the light also and don't use
I
Bishop's.
think what this is saying is that what we did to try to mitigate traffic south of Hill Street made north of Hill Street worse.
Yes, yep.
Wow.
And a similar story on the following sheet, Moses and Pelham and Armand. During the pilot, you can see there's a heavy number of vehicles on Pelham southbound right, even Pelham through going down to Hill Street, as you were allowed to make a right onto Hill from Moses. And Armand westbound was a heavy volume, over 160 vehicles in both weeks. And then post-study, those numbers, although still high, did reduce by about 15 to 20%. So, and particularly in the southbound traffic from Pelham heading towards Hill. So this intersection, you know, although it's not that it's clear during a typical period, it definitely saw more traffic during the pilot. And as a result, there were more cars, you know, attempting to circumvent some of the other traffic restrictions that are currently in place, specifically the right turns restrictions at Bishop's, Corrigan, and Somerset. In speaking with the police department, there was a significant increase in traffic violations and tickets during the pilot to enforce those right turn restrictions on Hill Street. So just another thing people were doing to try and circumvent the gridlock in traffic that was going on the north
One
side.
of the things that numbers don't necessarily show, but I spent some time at this intersection during the trial, is that this is a bit of an awkward intersection anyway. A lot of cars, the majority of them, come up southbound on Pelham and take that hairpin right turn onto Moses, which is a bit of an awkward turn. And the stop line is back a little bit. So you get those cars creeping forward, then you get anxious cars coming across Armand that creep forward, and actually there were, just in the few minutes that I was there on a few days, there's a lot of kind of gridlock that goes on there, and a lot of jockeying and a fair amount of aggression from time to time from someone, you know, some horns honking, but even cars sort of driving up to each other. And it actually, surprisingly, is a fairly active pedestrian area during that afternoon hours. There's a lot of people who walk their dogs and walk in that area to go to Moses Park and other things. So just anecdotally, separate from the car count numbers, that became, by my observations, a more dangerous place during the 2-week trial. I don't know, Chief, if you share any of that, if you want to come and join.
I think I agree with that assessment. That intersection of Pelham, Moses, and Armand is bad during the summer on a good traffic day. But during the pilot, it was gridlocked all the way. It was wrapped all the way down to Pelham to West Prospect. It was also people coming up Armand. It wrapped around down to Halsey Street, all the way almost to White Street during some of those days. So it was. It definitely increased traffic activity already at an area that is inundated with the vehicular traffic that we experience on a daily basis.
So that's the hard data. Just some additional notes we had and observations. You know, where is this traffic originating from that's going now on the north side of Hill Street? Is it coming from the south side neighborhoods, or is it, you know, through traffic that's coming from out of town? And just from our observations, with the pilot in place, the queue on Hill Street backed up further east, so closer to town, and at some points it was actually within the commercial village area.
Yeah.
So people that would normally cut through and then turn down First Neck were going down Country Farm or shooting down White's and then going into the northern neighborhoods to get to Pelham and Armand so they could get to Moses rather than going down First Neck to Ox Pasture. So that was the pattern we saw, and you know, I think the goal of this again was to try and improve traffic flow throughout the village and take some of the demand off of leading Captain's Neck, and we definitely saw that during the pilot, but it was displacing traffic in a lot of other neighborhoods, and some are already seeing a lot of traffic. There was a lot of movement from traffic going Ox Pasture to Captain's Neck, making the right, and then going up Bishop's and heading towards Moses and 39 as well. So that was another thing that we observed, which again, just increasing the volume, and that neighborhood in the north side of Hill Street really did not fare well during the pilot. It was the biggest takeaway we had from this whole thing. So, in terms of, we're getting a draft formalized summary together that'll be ready by the end of the month. But the recommendations are gonna be to not implement the pilot improvements permanently, at least as constituted, because of these negative impacts to a lot of other areas of the village, including downtown and on Hill Street.
Yeah, how far did that back up, chief? I mean, I saw it a few times, but I wasn't.
A couple, you're talking about it to the business district?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of the heavier days, probably two out of the 3 days it really backed up, wrapped around Windmill, down to the PD, and it also, Nugent Street was backed up to
Nugent
the
Street,
road
yeah.
repair, and then even people,
That's great.
that were coming down Job's Lane to go onto Hill Street, it was backed up. I mean, it was gridlock a couple days at that intersection.
I saw on a couple of times, I think it was the Tuesday and the Thursday of the first week of the trial. So it was maybe worse, bless you, because of the traffic signal.
light, yeah.
But the box at Cooper's Farm and Windmill was
Yep.
blocked for multiple light cycles.
Mhm.
So there was, even in both lanes coming westbound on Nugent there was backed up traffic almost back to the CVS parking lot, waiting to get through that.
That usually doesn't happen unless there's an accident on 39 and everything just comes into the village. So for it to happen during the first week of the pilot, like you said, it was unusual with no accidents on 39.
Yeah.
The first 2 days of that pilot, there was 2 bad accidents.
Yes.
So it
And one of
was-
the days was a rain event,
Yeah.
so not great driving conditions.
There are no easy answers here. Yeah.
No.
All right, Ryan. Well, thank you. Does anyone else have more questions for Ryan?
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Helpful, thank you.
But the data was very interesting to learn that because it wasn't intuitive, I don't think, right? Exactly.
And we have baseline data to use for when County Road 39 goes into
Exactly.
as
See,
well,
see
which
how
is
that affects.
very valuable.
Wow, interesting. Okay, we have another presentation, and that is from our treasurer. Julie, please come forward.
Good evening. I'm going to be discussing the financial results as of October 20th, 2025. So for revenues, our adopted budget is $37 million. We received so far $32,856,198. For real property tax, we budgeted $27.3 million, and we collected $26.2. That's 96% collected.
Actually, that's very good.
Yes, and this is the same, tracking the same as last fiscal year at 96% as well. So we're right on target. As for building permits, we had budgeted $1.8 million, and we collected to date is $1 million. We are tracking a little shy of last year. We were at 1.5 around this time, but
With the building department, with the building permits.
But the building departments can kind of fluctuate depending on how many permits they have going
Sure.
through. But I am optimistic that we will reach that budgeted figure. As for our county public safety sales tax, we budgeted $393,000, and we collected that. We kind of know that that's what we're going to get each year. And then as for Cooper's Beach revenue, we budgeted $1.26 million, and we collected $1.59 million. So
that's good.
Last beach season, we only collected 1.3. So
it's up a little bit.
So it is up, which could be because we're number one at the beach, and then two, I think the cabanas as well. We instituted that last beach season at the end, and this year we had the full year. And then as for interest, we budgeted $700,000, and then we collected $325,000. So we're slightly down from last fiscal year by $42,000.
Do you know what the change in interest rates were off the top of your head?
So I know in June of 2024 we were 4.1%, and then currently today we're 3.9%. So it is starting to come down. But overall, I'm confident that we'll reach that budget target that we have there.
What was the budget target again?
700,000.
Okay.
As for expenditures, our adopted budget is $37 million. We
I'm
expense.
sorry, say that again, I just missed it.
Sorry, which
The
one?
last one, I missed the beginning of what you're saying right now.
Oh, okay. As for expenditures, our adopted budget is $37 million. So far expended is $11,456,401. So that's 30.9, so 31%. expended so far. I did a comparison between the last 2 fiscal years to see what percentage we were at currently in the same time period. So in 2024, it was 33.4% expended, and in 2023, we were 35% expended. So we are down this year compared to the previous 2 years.
So yeah, we haven't not hit the 1/3 mark yet.
Yeah, yep. So we're tracking in line with our projections. As you guys know, it's important to note that the expenditures are not distributed evenly through each year. It's kind of like periodic or one-time payments that come through, like our retirement invoice. We are paying that in December. That comes out to be, this year is going to be roughly around 3.1 million we're going to end up expensing. So it's a large payment, but I know last year we had a challenge. We didn't budget as much as we needed to, so that was a challenge we faced. This year we're not going to face that challenge. We're budgeted right on target. And then 2, slightly to note, our health insurance rates we don't know yet. We do know 7 months out of the year, but the 5 months for the new calendar year we have not yet received. We'll probably receive those in November, but historically the last 2 years we've been right on target with those. So
What
all
about,
good news.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
What about the pension contributions?
Pensions.
Because that's another big.
The retirement that I just
Yes,
spoke
yes.
about, yeah, we're right on target with that. We're
Okay,
good, yeah.
okay.
We should be
For both?
for both, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There might be a slight between the ERS and PFRS. I only have the PFRS annual invoice. They have yet to come out with the annual invoice for ERS, but normally the estimate invoice that they give us is consistent with the annual invoice.
Okay.
So when you combine everything together, we're in the green.
Great.
For the remaining 5 months of the health insurance, you factored in an increase?
I did, yeah. Most likely, I think we did 10%. We stick with each year, and it's been relatively under that. So we've been safe, budgeting conservatively. So I don't anticipate it, but next time, hopefully, I'll have the numbers. So I'll let you guys know next time I present. And then just some other items. The audit conducted their on-site fieldwork at the end of September and are now in the process of finalizing the remaining information requests, and expect the audit to be completed by December. I know with the holiday and our board meeting schedule, sometimes scheduling with auditors for them to come to present to you guys is a little difficult, so that's to be determined yet. And then budget preparations will commence at the start of the new fiscal year, the new calendar year, I'm sorry, and we'll begin coordinating departmental submissions and scheduling meetings accordingly. So, yeah. Any questions?
Thank you, Julie. Any questions for Julie?
Well, for me, as a budget nerd, no surprises is good news.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, super helpful. And other than the big numbers, which move everything, is there any individual item that concerns you or surprised you or hasn't come in one way or another, even if it, less than $50,000 for these purposes, I don't care. I do care, but not for these purposes. Is there anything that you see coming up that is unusual or that concerns you?
Nothing yet, no.
Yep.
It's been we're tracking very good this year compared to previous years, so very pleased.
Great, thank you.
How about the
Thank you
auditors?
very
They
much.
had nothing that they.
Nothing yet. There's still work. They still are finalizing.
Yeah, but nothing that they said,
still
oh my
require-
goodness, Julie, what have you done
No,
here?
nothing
yeah.
yet. Hopefully nothing
Okay.
at all. But yeah.
All right,
Good
thank
night,
you,
Joe.
Julie,
Thank
very
you,
much.
Julie.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll go to the correspondence for the board. And Scott, I think we have 2 letters that came in.
Yep, we have 2 letters. Correspondence from Lisa Miller. She is a resident of Somerset Avenue. She's raising concerns with reference to the blind curve on Somerset and the lack of visibility. She does not support added bump outs, and she's attached photos, various photos in support of her positions. Correspondence from Francis Koskinas, resident of 50 Culver Hill Street. Concerns for Uber drivers parking and placement of parking signs. He is they are requesting no parking standing signs starting at the beginning of their driveway.
Right, I did speak to Ms. Casinas today and told her that, we will observe, and the police will observe what the activity is on Culver. And if we have to go back and look at changing the signs there, we will certainly do that. But at this point, we've now installed no parking up to a certain point, and I think we're just going to monitor that and see what happens. And if it is a problem, I said we would take care of it. But she said she will not be back until June. But I said, we will certainly watch if anything happens over the course of the winter. The other question she had, though, and I told her I would ask the village attorney. She wanted to know whether we could just put no loitering signs up. I don't know how easy that is to enforce.
Not even sure they're enforceable, but I will look at that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Chief, do you have any thoughts on that? I said I don't think we have any no loitering laws on the books in the village. So that would, we'd have to add something new to the village code, but, because we haven't done it in the past, but I'm just curious whether, how easy it would be to enforce that. You would have to have someone go around saying, you can't wait here, you can't wait here. So I don't know.
I think there might be, let me look at that. There might be some law on that saying we can't do that
Okay.
anyway. So let me look at it
Yeah.
for you.
And Eileen's made
I've
the
never
point.
seen a loitering case in 30 years.
Well, I think it sounds like it's something that was a little
Yeah, maybe
antiquated.
unconstitutional too.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
look at it.
You've
for
made
you.
the point before that simply sitting in your car, if that's what they're
Yeah.
doing or that's what they can default to,
Right.
it wouldn't be captured by no loitering, I assume.
Correct. No,
Yeah.
sitting in your car is fine. It's not
And they would,
loitering.
I guess, in essence, say, I'm waiting for a customer, maybe. Yeah.
Sure.
Anyway, okay, but I said that I would talk to the village attorney about that, so
I'll look at it.
Eileen, if you could look at
Yeah, I
that, that
will,
would be
for
helpful,
sure.
just so I have an answer for Ms.
List of
Casinas.
things to do.
Mayor, could you or Len, whoever knows better, give me or the board a update on what are we doing over in Somerset? I see that they're cutting and reducing the radius of the turn from McGee into Somerset. And I know we're doing this in response to the issue that village attorney brought up a few meetings ago, but what are we doing?
So they're actually, we have a schematic that Ryan had done that's actually trying to realign the stop bars at that intersection, because right now they're set way back. And what's happening is no one is stopping at those stop bars and they're just going through it. So the stop bars are being realigned to an area really close into the intersection of those three roads, or the three roads that come together there. It's McGee and Somerset. It's going to be, that area is going to be raised 4 inches so that a driver will be compelled to stop at the stop bar at the intersection
With
before
asphalt
proceeding.
or with plastic?
Asphalt.
With asphalt.
Asphalt, yeah. I believe Perry DeLalio's South Fork Asphalt is doing the work. But what you see now is they've done an overcut to put in the edging, but it will not be as narrow as it appears because some of that will be the asphalt
Right.
road surface.
Right.
So it looks maybe a little more extreme at this point, but I think it will definitely will temper people from flying through that intersection, because I waited at that corner several months ago just to watch the traffic there. And in the afternoon, the traffic going through that intersection, no one stops at all. They just go. Because it's very wide open. You can see there's no cars, so you just, I'm just going to keep going. But this will compel you to stop. What they were concerned about, because I was in touch with several of them and actually sent them all emails before we started doing this work, was they were concerned we were going to do the bump outs within Somerset, like along Somerset and Pleasant, and that's what they were very concerned about. I said, no, we're only doing it out at the intersection with McGee. Oh, okay, that sounds all right, yeah. So then they were okay. But I do still have a request from some, especially the Ensteins, to put an attractive wooden guardrail at the end of Somerset, because if you go down there even this week, you can see where a car launched into the tree and actually got up about as high as 6 feet, breaking the branches of this tree. And Mrs. Enstein said, look, this is where my bedroom is. He goes, I'm worried there's some car's going to end up, in my bed some night.
With a reflective, thing.
Yeah. But it's it's going to be sort of the kind that you see on a parkway, and it would be installed really just at that corner to prevent the cars from going up onto her property, because she seems to be the recipient of most of those accidents. Am I right, Chief? Yeah. So that would obviously put an end to that. Just like we have at the end of South Main Street, there's a guardrail in several streets. We have them. Yeah.
Yeah, end of Cooper's Neck.
Yeah. I mean, when I was a kid, the number of cars actually that went through the guardrail at the end of South Main Street was tremendous. That hasn't happened in a long time now, so that's a good thing. But every few years, there were cars that would go through there, yeah.
Are we looking at other steps on Somerset?
Yes, I still think we should look at trying to do something with the intersections with Pleasant, because people are now even using Pleasant to try and cut off people that are on Somerset. I mean, you can't even believe it. So that seems to be where people seem to be whipping around those corners and not observing those stop signs. But, again, we can only do so much before, again, we get feedback from the residents, well, we don't want our street to look like, I don't know, a superhighway or something, but, anyway, so right now, though, I think, we're proceeding incrementally, and I think most understood why we were putting the, realigning the intersection at McGee, and I think the result will be a positive one, because you won't be able to whip into to Somerset or continue to whip around on McGee going north. Anyway, okay. Was that all right, Roy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll go to suggested resolutions then, and Len, I think you got a couple.
Okay, number one, resolve the claims for the warrant dated October 17, 2025 totaling $778,619.13, warrant number A11 General, $861,190.82, warrant number H5 Capital, $279,703.90, warrant number CS2 CS Trust, and $4,532.37, warrant number T10 Trust are audited and approved. I'll make the motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Number two, resolve the reading of the minutes for the October 9th, 2025 Board of Trustee meeting is dispensed, accepted as filed by the village clerk, hereby ratified and approved. I'll make that motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Number three, resolve that the village board hereby directs that a public hearing shall be held as a hybrid in-person Zoom meeting on November 13th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at the village meeting room at the Southampton Village Hall located at 23 Main Street, Southampton, New York, 11968, to hear any and all persons either for or against a proposed local law entitled the Local Law Amending Chapters 116-32, Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation Procedure for Application and Public Hearings, 65-6, Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation Certificate of Appropriateness Application Procedure, and 116-37, Building Permits, Certificates of Occupancy, Fees Enforcement, to impose expirations on certain approvals issued by the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, this is just, there's been a lot of discussion about the fact that these approvals last forever, and that isn't necessarily a good idea given changes in, I guess, design, in building permits, et cetera. So we had a conversation with members of the Board of Architectural
Well, yeah,
Review
Mark
and
brought this
Historic
to
Preservation, right.
our attention that
And our
there were
planners,
a problem
and
with this.
then we came up with the proposed.
I can say that I've worked in 3 other jurisdictions out here, Shelter Island, Sag Harbor, East Hampton Village, they all have versions of this.
They do.
And it's particular to the design because, something that is appropriate today may 7 or 8 years from now not seem
Right.
quite as appropriate.
Right.
Right.
And so we don't want to
If you haven't done it by then,
But it doesn't mean if you do it, all of a sudden it's like, sorry, now you're not illegal, you gotta take it out.
No,
this is just if you never built it.
If you never build it.
You can't bank
So
an
this-
ARB approval forever.
I think the way it's drafted, it allows 3 years, and then you can get 2 18-month extensions. So you actually could have that permit valid for 6 years, but then you would have to come back and apply again.
makes
But I
sense.
think 6 years
Yeah, 'cause
is a
That's
reasonable
more
amount
generous
of
than
time.
most other jurisdictions.
Correct,
out
and it
there.
actually can be longer because if you get a building permit in that time, it obviously extends the life of the approval also, so.
But, this was something that the ARB requested because they said they feel that there are people coming in and then they're not doing anything, and they're like, why are all these people getting permits and not doing anything?
Right.
Anyway, all
So
right.
that's the motion. Do you need a vote, Bill?
Oh, yes, we had a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Whereas the Village of Southampton has been awarded Town of Southampton 2023 CPF grants for the Wickapog Road, Phillips Pond, and Old Town Pond bioswale projects, and whereas the village intends to commence the construction phase of said bioswale projects, and whereas the Superintendent of Public Works has received a proposal from South Fork Asphalt pursuant to a Southampton Town contract, and whereas the proposal includes construction services for Phillips Pond in the amount of $161,050, Old Town Pond in the amount of $198,650, and Wickapog Road in the amount of $207,370. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the mayor to execute a contract subject to the approval of the village attorney with South Fork Asphalt to perform construction services for the Wickapog Road, Phillips Pond, and Old Town Pond bioswale projects with all costs to be fully reimbursed through the awarded grant funds. So I'll make the motion.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Eileen?
Whereas the Village of Southampton recognizes the need to utilize new technologies in an effort to help improve water quality in our lakes and ponds, and whereas the Village of Southampton has previously expressed its interest in supporting the Envoy Organic Technologies project known as Envoy Organic Mobilization for Old Town Pond to restore the ecological structure and function of Old Town Pond by treating the nutrient pollution and sediment overload in Old Town Pond through the bioaugmentation of a consortium of probiotic bacillus bacteria, and whereas Envi Organic Technologies has undertaken the steps required to obtain the necessary permits from the New York State DEC at their own expense, and whereas in support thereof, the Village of Southampton previously agreed to initiate and conduct the secret review for this proposed project, and whereas Envi Organic Technologies prepared and submitted a short environmental assessment form Part 1 to the Village, prepared and submitted to the Village, and whereas on May 8th, 2025, the Village Board of Trustees classified the proposed action as an unlisted action under SECRA and authorized the circulation of a notice of intent to serve as lead agency for a coordinated review. And whereas Lisa M. Rickmers of H2M Architects and Engineers, the Southampton Village Planning Consultant, reviewed the short environmental assessment form Part 1 and the project information and completed the short environmental assessment forms Part 2 dated October 16th, 2025, identifying no significant environmental impacts from the proposed action. And whereas Ms. Rickmers prepared the short environmental assessment form Part 3 and a negative declaration providing a reasoned elaboration of the findings on each topic and recommending that no significant adverse impacts on the environment have been identified, now therefore be it resolved that the Village Board of Trustees hereby adopts or issues a negative declaration pursuant to SECRA as there are no significant negative environmental impacts anticipated by the proposed action. That's your motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
A discussion?
Yep.
So I don't have any problem with SECRA on this, but I'm wondering, it says they've taken the steps required to obtain the permits. Do we have any sense of where Envi Organics is with the DEC on receiving permits, or
Well,
what the
that's
overall
the-
status of the project is?
Yeah, the SECRA, that's part of their application, the DEC permit application.
Now they can
So
go
that's what-
back with our approval.
Right, once they have the
Yeah.
approval, they can move forward with it. But to answer your question, I don't know exactly how much longer.
I
But
haven't spoken to them.
once they get the permits, then they'll presumably come back to us to see if we are interested in
And
doing the project.
I know we've not committed. It feels to
Right.
me, though, we're sort of, I hope this isn't an inappropriate term, but sort of half pregnant with Envi Organics, should they get these DEC permits.
They understand,
That
we've
it's
had
at their
lengthy
risk.
discussions with them back in the spring, that we are not committing to the project. We did commit to them that we would support them by providing secrets so they could go forward with the DEC.
Understand.
So once they get that, they'll come back to us.
And
I think that's
obviously,
their
we made it
biggest
clear to them,
hurdle.
if they don't get
Yeah.
DEC permits, they can't do anything, so
Right.
that's
And
a
except
moot
for the
topic.
our involvement with SECRA, they are paying for, at their own expense, the
The rest of
DEC
Yeah.
permits.
We're
So-
not paying for their application to the DEC.
Should an RFP be made with other companies as well to see what their expense would be versus Enviroganics?
No, it's a novel technology.
Right,
So
but there are other
It's not
No,
unique.
there is no other
Oh,
company
really?
that has that technology,
Oh.
the way we have it. The same technology and the same process. That was
On-site?
That's my understanding.
On-site bioremediation?
Right.
Yeah, no.
Well,
that-
with this particular project, so.
oh,
There are
well,
companies
we
that
haven't signed a
remediate
contract.
brownfields with the same technology, but I guess we haven't seen anything that does it in ponds
Oh,
besides them.
okay, I'll look into that.
But it'll be an
Yeah.
issue, we haven't signed the contract or anything for it yet, so. It's interesting though, because, this is the third project in Lake Agawam, so, all with different new technologies.
Well, it'll be interesting also to see the results of their trial program at Santa Point, which was in its initial stages when they made their presentation.
Yeah, I mean, we did see some of the results. You mean continued results? Yeah. So that'll be something, right, for down the road if we decide to go with the project, so.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Resolve, the Board of Trustees accepts the letter of resignation for employee number 4601, part-time EMT paramedic, Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance Department, effective October 20th, 2025. So moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees accepts the letter of resignation for employee 4808, part-time EMT, paramedic, Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance Department, effective October 20th, 2025. So moved.
Second discussion, just so everyone understands what this is. So we keep a cadre of EMTs on staff, on call, for the ambulance, because we like to have EMTs 24/7 available for our ambulance corps. These two individuals have not been able to get any hours lately. One of them, I understand, moved up to the other end of the island, so they have not been participating, and the other person also, for some reason, I don't know what the situation is, has not been able to participate. So they have not been putting in for hours of work done. But again, Chief Christopher Epley reached out to me and said, we would like to clean this up because they haven't been putting in hours. We don't really want to carry them, we're not paying them anything, but there's no reason to have these people. And the one person said, I've moved, I'm not going to be able to help. So they would like them just basically removed, and then it would allow the ambulance corps to look out and see if there was a possible alternative to these people that could be brought on board as a standby EMT. So I just want to explain that to everybody in the public. So
We don't have a mass exodus from the
no.
EMT. This is-
I know when I first saw this, I said, Chris, what's happening? And he explained the whole thing to me, so I understand it. So anyway, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby approves the closing of Elm Street on Friday, October 31st, 2025 by the Southampton Village Police Department for Halloween festivities from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. I'll make the motion.
Second, Chief, you want to say anything about this? It's a Friday night. It might be busy down there. But I understand a lot of people go to North Sea now.
Yeah, it'll be busy for about 2 hours and then
Yeah.
it'll be shut down.
But
A
we've
lot of
done
people
this
are doing
for-
also this trick or trunk thing. Have you heard about this?
Oh, yeah, out of
Where
someone's
they-
trunk
Yeah, where they get a bunch of cars. Anyway.
in a parking lot. All right, but we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the request from the Commission of Veteran Patriotic Events to hold a Veterans Day Parade on Tuesday, November 11th, 2025 at 11 a.m. Services will immediately follow at Ag 1 Park. All village officials are invited to participate. I make a motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we do have a couple of walk-ons that came up, so I'll make a motion for 2 walk-ons to be added. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Be it hereby resolved that the village board hereby directs that a public hearing shall be held as a hybrid in-person Zoom meeting on November 13th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at the village meeting room at the Southampton Village Hall located at 23 Main Street, Southampton, New York, 11968, to hear any and all persons either for or against a proposed local law entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 99 Taxation to provide a tax exemption for Southampton Village Ocean Rescue as authorized by Section 466-M of the New York Real Property Tax Law. I make this motion.
Just, Bill, that should say Southampton Village Ocean Rescue members.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not the entity
Yeah,
itself.
sorry. That's my fault.
And it's
wasn't in
only
there.
the members that
typo.
live within the boundaries of the village.
Right, when you read the law, it's just like, all it does is add ocean rescue.
Right.
Where village fire members and ambulance
So you made the
members
motion,
are.
Roy?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'll second. And only further discussion is this is very similar to what we have for volunteer fire
It's the same.
in the village. And this is, now the state has allowed us to extend this to ocean rescue. So they have asked that we do this. And so that's what this is
And
doing.
the county and town have already done it.
Yeah. So we have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Scott, I was going to ask you to do this.
Whereas on July 4th, 2026, the United States will be celebrating the 250th anniversary of our independence, and whereas the Village Board of Trustees previously appointed village residents to the Village of Southampton 4th of July Committee to create and organize events, including the 4th of July Parade, to celebrate this occasion, and whereas the Chair of the Village of Southampton 4th of July Committee has recommended Thea Fry, a Southampton Village resident, to work with the committee to enact the committee's vision for the parade and celebration. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement subject to approval by the village attorney, retaining Thea Fry as an event coordinator and advisor to the Village of Southampton 4th of July Committee at a cost of $1,500 per month from November 2025 through July 2026 to be paid from trustees' special projects.
Okay, I have one thing I have to say. I do not believe Thea Fry is a village resident.
Oh, she's not, okay.
She lives in the town, so we have to change that. Can we
We
can
can
we
just
change
X that out. Yeah,
Okay,
so.
all right. So I'll make a motion of this.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. All right, that's very good. This was a quick meeting. We'll go to comments from board members, and we'll start with trustee Coburn.
Bill, I'm gonna,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I just have a few very quick comments, I hope. First, I'll mention, I just want to give a public thank you and shout out to Julie Curta for providing some information that was very helpful for me, which is not really the story. The story is that there were a lot of things that had piled up for different reasons. Some things got delayed, and she was under a crunch with auditors, and was also, I think, dealing with some health challenges on her team. And so I just wanted to publicly thank you for getting that information and going above and beyond. And I would note that I think our village fire department has been busy, unfortunately, over the last couple of weeks, fortunately successfully, but wanted to just thank the members of that department for their attention to a fire in Shinnecock Hills and a fire downtown, and I think I'm missing one as well, maybe over in Watermill, but I may have that wrong. But it's been a busy last couple of weeks for them. The Planning Commission last Friday held their regular meeting, and on the topic was workforce housing. There were a number of people around this table who attended either in person or by Zoom. It was a very broad-based discussion and a good one, and I just wanted to thank Michelle Brogard and Christian Picot, who are the co-chairs of the Planning Commission, for setting that up. I think there's some interesting follow-up and probably a need for follow-up, which we'll get to be part of. And last but not least, I'll just mention that I worked with Trustee Stevenson on the Business Revitalization Committee. We're getting that effort sort of geared up again. And one of the elements of that is starting a more robust conversation with some of the cultural institutions in the village. As we did an initial assessment of some of the assets that we have, obviously we have our history, we have the look and feel of the village. But we also have, immodestly and chauvinistically, I think, the best collection of culture and arts organizations of any town, maybe in eastern Suffolk County, maybe anywhere in Suffolk County. And it seems logical that whether a revitalization strategy features them or at least utilizes those assets as a way to particularly drive off-season and winter business and activity in the village seems a no-brainer. So I'm going to be meeting on Friday with representatives of a number of those organizations and Julie Kane. So look forward to getting back to you after our committee gets to digest that. And with that, I'll just say have a good night.
Thank you, Trustee Coburn. Trustee Simeoni.
Yes, we had the first meeting for the Senior Services Committee, which was a very good meeting, was very successful. A lot of ideas were proposed. We had a presentation also by the police department, by the Stephen Rios.
He's one of the
Stephen
detectives.
Rios, that's
Yeah.
right, which was very informative. We also had another gentleman from American Express that is involved in researching and the issues that occur, and actually try and, if not prosecute, at least go after people that do scam the elderly. So it was a very good meeting. We have another meeting now set up for the 28th, which would be also very productive. So I'm glad to continue with this effort, and also if I hopefully I can also find ways of informing the public about the dangers towards our seniors of the scams that occur out there. Another thing I'd like to bring up is the fact that I think that trustees really should have access to information in order for us to pursue our duties. And I think that I hope you're in agreement with that. This morning I sent an email that I believe you all read with a request to inform me as to why I would not be allowed to see the survey report that was generated by Preservation Studios. I went to ask Alex Wallach for a copy. I was interested to see what was in that report, and he told me that he could not give it to me because the village attorney had told him not to do so. So I'm waiting for a response as to the legal reason why I can't do it, but I would like to have your feedback as to what you think. Should this report be able to be surrendered to a trustee who requests it?
Yeah, well, I'm going to speak to Mark McIntyre about it. I mean, the report was done for the ARB. He's the chairperson. I'll ask him what he wants to do with the report now.
Well, as a trustee, I should be able to
Yeah,
request a
no,
copy.
exactly. So
I mean, you
I'll
don't
speak to
even
him
have to
about
ask Mr. McIntyre about that. That is, I am a trustee.
Yeah.
Information should be available to
Absolutely.
us.
Yeah.
You do agree with that?
Yeah.
Good. If you do agree with that, I have a resolution that I can read into the minutes, and we can vote on it.
Well, I don't think I want to do that this evening, Ed. I think we should have spoken about this earlier, or spoken with the village attorney. Unfortunately, the village attorney is gone now, but I think she wanted to look into that and then respond
Well,
to
I'm
you.
waiting for a response. I
Right.
sent the request on October 10th. I understand it was also Columbus Day in the middle.
Yeah.
So it's been a week now.
Yeah.
I should get a response, and once I have the response, then
Yeah.
you know, I'd be very interested, and if I have support of the board, that information should be available to board members for the prosecution of our duties,
Yeah.
then I don't see how that could be
No, I understand.
not
Yeah.
available to
Yeah.
us.
I will speak to
How
her,
do
but
the rest of the
I believe-
members feel about that? How about you, Rob?
Well, I agree. I think a work product for the village. I mean, I think the contract with these guys, well, I don't know, Eileen's gone, but was probably signed by the village. I don't think
Well, we
the
approved
ARB
it. We approved the
Right.
financing of it.
Right, it's from a grant, right? That was
Yes.
financed by a grant.
Correct.
But I think the applicant for the grant was, at the end of the day, the village. If that's the case, then the information generated under it should be available to trustees.
How about you, Roy?
I agree with what you said about about information. I was at the gathering last night, and a resident just asked me what did I think about the report, and I said I didn't even know the report was ready, and she said, well, yes, it is. So this was an issue in the campaign. We spoke about it. We expressed our opinion that the residents would have an opportunity to give their opinion on this, and that no decision would be made without their input. So as a trustee, I'd like to know what the report says. So I'm quite concerned that this wouldn't be shared and that Eileen wouldn't give the information to trustee Simeone. I really don't get it. So I think we need to know what the report says.
Len?
Can't object to that, but as a matter of protocol, we should hear from our attorney with respect to...
Well, it's been over a week.
No,
It doesn't take a week to give a response.
I understand that.
So I'm kind of
I
mystified
understand
by
that,
this
but-
whole
but
situation. I would like to have this resolved this week.
I agree with you. It should be resolved this week. It should be resolved right away. I don't know what the problem is and why she hasn't replied to you, but I think out of respect for her, we should ask her tomorrow.
You, Mr. Mayor?
I think I said that already, didn't I?
You were talking about asking McIntyre, so I...
Well, because I
Give
want to
me-
understand it, I think the report was done at the request of the ARB HP, so I would like to speak to him about it. I mean, he apparently is the one that has the
And
copy
if
of
he
the report.
says, and if he says the report should not go to the trustees, you would agree with that?
I have to talk to him and
No,
also
no,
the
but I mean, this
attorney.
it's a yes or no question.
Ed, I'm reserve the right to
Oh, my
speak
goodness.
to the
A yes or no
attorney
question.
and to
If the
and
chair of the
chair
ARB
of the
does
ARB.
not want us to have information that the village trustees has a right to, you would defer to the chair of the ARB.
I'm speaking to the
Yes or no?
I'm speaking to the attorney.
Yes
Ed.
or no?
I'm speaking to the attorney.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep, speaking to the attorney. Do you have anything else you'd like to add, Ed?
I think that's enough for tonight.
Okay, so we'll go then to trustee Stevenson.
Thank you. As Trustee Coburn referenced, our first responders have been busy, and just to acknowledge some of the people involved and to get the actual events into the record, which I think are significant, I would like to paraphrase the Southampton Village Fire Department's Public Information Officer Chris Brennan's description of the emergency. Last Wednesday, October 15th at 9:21 p.m., a structure fire broke out on North Road in Shinnecock Hills. And when the Southampton Town Police officers arrived there, they determined that everybody who'd been inside that residence had managed to get out, except for one man who was trapped on the second floor. The Southampton Village Fire Department chiefs responded within 4 minutes of the initial dispatch and found heavy fire coming from the windows. The man had climbed out of the window and was perched on a ledge outside the house. They were able to retrieve a mattress from the burning building and place it on a table to soften the fall of the man who jumped from the second floor to escape the flames. So pretty dramatic. Fire department crews were able to extinguish the fire within half an hour, but remained on the scene until 12:30 a.m. 2 police officers were sent to local hospitals with smoke inhalation, and the man that was in the residence and jumped out the window was transported to the hospital with minor burns to his feet. Southampton Town and Village Volunteer Ambulance and Hampton Bays Volunteer Ambulance Corps were all at the scene for firefighter assessment and transport of the injured. Southampton Fire Chief Polis Walker was in charge of the fire scene, along with Assistant Chief Ricky Fowler and Assistant Chief Ken Lockhart Jr. Chief Chris Epley was in charge of the Southampton Village Ambulance, and Julio Prendergrass, Deputy Chief, was in charge of the Southampton Town Volunteer Ambulance. Alec Kosuchowski and Rob Scott, Assistant Chiefs of the Hampton Bays Volunteer Ambulance, were in charge for their company. The Hampton Bays Fire Department was on scene as a rapid intervention team. The North Sea Fire Department was requested for an engine to the scene, and Bridgehampton took calls for the Southampton Fire Department. We are so thankful to all the mutual aid departments. So wonderful the way all the different villages and municipalities in this area work together when there's a serious emergency. And all the EMS people that responded to assist. I'd also like to commend the police, firefighters, fire marshals, and fire coordinators for the superb job they did. Just 2 nights later, 10:30 p.m., police officer James Moore was making his rounds on foot down Job's Lane when he smelled smoke and discovered a fire in progress at Namiro Restaurant and Sean's Place Deli. Once again, the Southampton Village Fire Department responded virtually instantly and were able to knock the fire down. Since all the buildings on Job's Lane are connected and the wind was blowing up the street, this could have been a much more serious disaster had the fire spread. We are so fortunate as a community to be protected by our amazing first responders. People helping people, that is what our village is all about. And that's one of the things that makes our village so special. Even more special that most of the men and women doing this work are volunteers. Just last night, my wife Polly and I experienced another wonderful example of this. The 4th of July parade is one of the centerpieces of our village. Next year is America's 250th birthday. To celebrate this momentous occasion, our Southampton Village Parade should be better than ever. And yet the future of the parade is uncertain. It needs funding. So last night, 3 Southampton ladies, Thea Dombrowski-Fry, who I'm happy to see has just been made an assistant to help organize the parade, Lisa McWilliams and Susan Stenkeep organized a fundraiser with the assistance of Kathleen Miller and Mary Hunt of the Southampton Elks, and a big event was held at the Elks last night. Silent auction, chicken and pork dinner, just a really wonderful event. And thanks to all of those ladies' efforts and many generous sponsors, 3 pages of sponsors, wow. That event was a wonderful experience of people giving of themselves to support our village. I hope they raise thousands of dollars, but it's not enough. The parade needs thousands more. So I ask everyone who's listening right now, if anybody is, who loves the parade and loves Southampton, please consider making a donation. For information, please call Karen Bontempo, the mayor's assistant, here at Village Hall. With that said, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Trustee Stevenson. We go to Trustee Zananti.
Thank you, Mayor. On a personal note, I just returned from a trip to Italy, visiting the island of Sicily. And what I witnessed there reminded me in several ways of our village goals. Things that we are debating relate to centuries-old issues that are amazing. My last visit there was 17 years ago, and the progress since then is unbelievable. Number one, sewer systems. All throughout the island, from large busy cities to small fishing villages, there are sewers. The infrastructure was conceived as ancient societies saw the public health and commerce benefits of building and maintaining sewage treatment. Blew me away. Secondly was the sustainability initiatives, and I saw two great examples of that. Windmills have been erected all throughout the island, the island, generating electrical power and energy independence, as well as providing the economic logic so that the residents are not subject to outside forces. Another way of really protecting the public. And lastly, the intentional design of green public spaces as a centerpiece of their infrastructure, out of respect for the public, both in health and in safety. Very, very interesting analogies that I saw in another country. And with that, I'll say good night.
Yeah, I love your appreciation of the Italian genius in maintaining our traditions. I'm sure you loved visiting as
It
well.
was wonderful, and the food was pretty good.
Food for sure.
All right, thank you, Trustee Zananti. So I have gotten word that National Grid is now completed their work on Hampton Road. So we are scheduling, that is DPW is scheduling, when the repaving of the western half will be done. Obviously, it will be a little bit of turmoil when that work commences, right, Chief? But obviously, it has to be done. The road is not in good shape. And we did get money from National Grid to do that repaving. So looking forward to that finally getting done. Perhaps a few of you have gone down and seen the south end of Lake Agawam, where the new bioswale is being installed in the median, and the Agawam Conservancy is removing all the Phragmites and the invasive species that are along the southwestern corner, I would say, of southeastern corner, sorry, of Lake Agawam, running along that portion of Gin Lane. And it looks like they've probably gotten almost all of it done. There's a few more I'm looking at you, Lynn. But they've got a little more to do. But it looks tremendously so much better. And again, getting rid of those invasive species and the knotweed has been very positive. So it really is transforming down there. And I'm happy to say, and Julie, you know this, all of those projects are being done by other people's money. The town trustees and the Lake Agawam Conservancy are paying for the removal of the invasive species. So it's great that the village is going to be able to benefit from that. The other thing I would want to announce is that we were successful in getting the state grant for the Taylor Creek rehabilitation.
Wow.
Which is great. It's just over $500,000. And the village will put in a little extra money so that we can raise the road a little bit. That could not be included in the grant, but it will be a transformation on that road because that culvert has failed, I think, probably almost 15 years now, and really is a problem. So the culvert will be rebuilt, the road will be raised several inches so that, again, it will not flood as often as it does. And again, the governor sent a very nice letter saying that we were successful and she's happy to give us $500,000. So that was good, and I'm sure the residents in that area are going to be very pleased, especially the 4 residents that abut Taylor Creek. They all actually wrote letters on behalf of this grant, and so all of us were successful in getting this accomplished. I think when I went to speak to Councilman Pell recently, he said he's been trying to do that for 11 years, and he was amazed that we finally got it done. But anyway, I'm glad that we finally got it done.
Mayor, could I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Could I add one comment just to the to the bioswale at the south end of
Oh, sure.
Agawam? Just because a number of people asked, not critically, but they see that it's taking a while. I think people thought a digger would come in. I just wanted to say for the public record, my understanding is they're removing something like 5 or 6 feet of soil below grade and reconditioning it. It's not just simply sort of tearing out the asphalt that was there. There's a lot of site prep that's going on. So I just wanted to let the public
And
know.
they
it's
found previous structures and roads that were underneath that all had to
So
be
it's all
removed.
being done right so that there's proper drainage and root growth
Yeah.
opportunities, and that's why it's taking longer than just digging with a shovel. A number of people have asked,
Right.
and it's
Yeah.
none.
Yeah, well, it's a big project. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a they're going to actually be building little walkways across the bioswale. There's going to be new crosswalks. There's actually they're building out bump outs, so the crosswalks are not quite as wide, I should say. And so all of that, when you go down there, you can see the areas that have been cut out for, really, it's going to be vegetated. So it'll look a lot better than what was basically a concrete, ocean almost.
Thank you.
But thank you for pointing that out, Rob. I appreciate that. And it will get done. We did also just vote to move forward with the grant money for the bioswales on Wickapog Road, really that are to help Old Town Pond, Phillips Pond, and Wickapog Pond. And so letters actually have gone out. I signed letters to all of the homeowners that will have a bioswale in front of their houses. I've responded to, I think, 3 of them so far. Most are fine. They just wanted to know exactly what it was going to be like. It's going to be very similar to the bioswale, actually, at the bend of the road at Gin Lane and Lake Agawam, where you have sort of a depressed lawn, grassy area with some drains. So it's not going to be like the bioswales here that are very deep and large. It's going to be a very shallow, grassy area in the village right-of-way. But I think that'll, again, help those water bodies, especially with the road runoff. And then a couple of things that are coming up. Little Lucy's Halloween Pet Parade is going to be on Saturday. I think it's, what is it here? Sorry, the 25th at 1 p.m. at Agawam Park. So anyone who has a pet that they want to bring down. Anyway, I was told that I wanted to say that because it's also a charity for the Suffolk County SPCA and the Southampton Animal Shelter. So it's going to a good cause, and it's a lot of fun. And on the 29th of October, speaking of Thea Fry, she is also organizing the Patriots Club dinner at the Southampton High School. It's basically a Veterans Appreciation Night. And it's great to see the students come out and support the veterans at that event as we run up to Veterans Day on November 11th. And hopefully everybody will attend that in the park. Hopefully we'll have great weather and we can sit out there, and it will be always a very nice day to honor our veterans and commemorate the end of the First World War. Election Day is November 4th. Just want to encourage everyone to get out and vote. And on November 7th, there will be an event at the Southampton Playhouse where they will actually talk about films that have been made in Southampton and the Eastern Long Island area. So that should be I think they're going to show some of those films. And so that will be November 7th. It'll talk all about films that were down here in the Hamptons, and they're going to have that event at the Southampton Playhouse. With that, I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. So unless there's anything else, we can adjourn this meeting of the Village Board of Trustees, and it's only 7:15. That was pretty quick. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.